How a human made a stunning alien princess pregnant. The twin suns of Zyra Prime blazed in a slow, spiraling dance, casting ribbons of silver light across the capital's floating spires. These weren't just buildings, they were living alloys, pulsing faintly like the heartbeat of some ancient beast. Below, the bioluminescent market hovered over a shimmering lagoon, stalls glowing with wares that hummed soft melodies or wove themselves into cloaks on command. The air carried a sweet tang of nectar and ozone, as if the planet itself exhaled life. This was the heart of the Sylari Dominion, a civilization that worshipped creation yet trembled before its own fading bloodline. Mirena M. Valthes, last princess of the Sylari, stood in a chamber of woven light, her pearlescent skin catching the glow like a prism. Her eyes, twin nebulas swirling with violet and gold, hid a storm of resignation. Her long, arched ears, delicate as crescent blades and threaded with biocircuits, twitched faintly, betraying her irritation. The royal bloodline was cursed, barren for 3 generations, a secret etched into the crystal tombs of her ancestors. Today, she'd bind herself to a human, Taren Calder, a cocky Earth pilot turned diplomat, all to seal an alliance. Zyra needed Earth's fusion cores. Earth craved Sylari's warp gate network. A marriage of convenience, they called it. Mirena called it a cosmic joke. She adjusted her ceremonial veil, a shimmering fabric that shifted with her heartbeat, and muttered, "If this veil sends a distress signal to a mining colony, I'm blaming the human." "Oh, already blaming me? That's a record." Taren's voice cut through the chamber, smooth as a well-timed quip. He strode in, his formal vest rumpled like he'd slept in it, but his grin was pure, unfiltered confidence, like Tony Stark walking into a boardroom with a half-built gadget. His dark hair was just messy enough to charm, and his eyes sparkled with a mix of mischief and curiosity. "Taren Calder, at your service, princess. Though I gotta warn you, my last diplomatic gig ended with me accidentally insulting a sentient cactus." Mirena's ears flickered, glowing a faint blue. Curiosity, despite herself. A cactus? How does one insult a plant? Easy. You call its spines decorative. Look, I'm better with ships than speeches, but I promise not to crash this ceremony. He winked, leaning against a pillar that pulsed in protest. Unless you want me to. Could be fun. She arched a brow, her veil shimmering pink for a heartbeat. Fun? This is a sacred union, not one of your joyrides. Sacred, sure, but I bet I can make it a little less stuffy. Taren's grin widened, and Mirena felt a spark of something dangerous. Amusement, maybe, or worse, interest. Across the room, Vorin, her senior advisor, cleared his throat, his silver robes rustling like a sandstorm. His ears, longer than Mirena's and tipped with crystal, stayed rigid. Disapproval in flesh and circuitry. Your radiance, this human is unfit. Sylari blood is sacred, not to be diluted by a species that still burns fossil fuels. Taren raised a hand. Whoa, fossil fuels. That's low. We've been fusion-powered for a century, buddy. Also unfit. I've flown through asteroid fields drunker than a skunk and lived to tell the tale. Fit enough for you. Vorin's ears darkened to crimson. You mock our traditions. Nah, I mock you. Big difference. Taren's tone stayed light, but his eyes sharpened, sizing Vorin up like a rival in a bar fight. Mirena stepped between them, her voice cool but firm. Enough. Vorin, the council approved this. Taren, save your charm for the ceremony. Charm's my best feature, princess. Well, that and my coffee recipe. He flashed a grin, and her ears glowed blue again, betraying her. As Vorin stormed off, muttering about human insolence, a hollow screen flickered to life. Jessa Kane, Taren's fellow pilot, appeared, her short hair streaked with neon green. T, you're not dead yet? Figured the princess would have zapped you in a next week by now. Jessa, timing's impeccable as always, Taren said, rubbing his neck. I'm still breathing. No zapping yet. Jessa smirked, her eyes darting to Mirena. She's way out of your league, flyboy. Don't screw this up. or I'll never let you live it down. Also, don't spill coffee on her dress. I know you. No promises. Taren shot back, but his glance at Mirena softened, like he was seeing her for the first time. Mirena turned away, her veil flickering violet, annoyance, or maybe nerves. She remembered the crystal tombs, where she'd stood alone a year ago, staring at the names of her ancestors. The Sylari revered creation, their temples filled with sculptures of blooming stars and fertile seas, yet their bloodline withered. Priests whispered of curses. Scientists called it genetic entropy. Mirena called it failure. She'd vowed to carry the throne alone, unburdened by hope. Now, this human, this Taren, threatened to unravel that vow with his infuriating grin. Okay, princess, walk me through this ceremony, Taren said, snapping her back to the present. I'm guessing it's not just say, I do and kiss, right? She sighed, leading him to a platform where the ritual veil would bind them. It's a neural weave. Our minds will touch, briefly, to symbolize unity. Don't panic. Panic? Me? I've flown ships with half their circuits fried. Mine touching sounds like a Tuesday. He stepped closer, his tone dropping. Though I'm curious what's going on in that head of yours. Her ears glowed pink, and she cursed inwardly. Focus, human. They practiced the steps, their movements stiff at first. Taren's hand brushed her waist, adjusting the veil's flow, and a jolt ran through her, not from the biocircuitry, but from the warmth of his touch against her pearlescent skin. Her breath hitched, her ears shifting to a soft purple. You're too close, she murmured but didn't pull away. Am I? His voice was low, teasing, but his eyes held hers, like he saw past her title to the woman beneath. Or is this veil just playing tricks? She stepped back, heart racing. Don't test me, Taren. Testing's my specialty, he said, but backed off with a playful salute. Lead on, princess. Later, alone, Mirena stood before a mirror of liquid light, her reflection fracturing into a dozen versions of herself. Princess, heir, failure. Voren's words echoed, unfit. Yet Taren's laughter lingered too, like a melody she couldn't shake. She touched her veil, its glow steadying her. This marriage was duty, nothing more. But why did her ears keep betraying her? Meanwhile, Taren lounged in his quarters, a hollow feed from Jessa buzzing. You're in deep tea, she said. That princess looks like she could eat you alive. Or I could charm her first, he replied, but his mind drifted to Mirena's eyes, those nebulas that held secrets he wanted to unravel. He remembered a mission years ago, when he'd rigged a ship's engine with a coffee maker, nearly blowing the cockpit. If I can't survive that, I can survive a princess, he muttered, grinning. The ceremony loomed, a floating chamber where gravity danced like a drunken waltz. Mirena entered, her veil a cascade of starlight, her presence commanding yet fragile. Taren followed, his vest slightly less rumpled, his grin unshaken. Ready to make history, princess? He asked. Ready to survive you, she shot back, but her ears glowed blue again, and a smile tugged at her lips. Voren watched from the sidelines, his scowl a silent storm. Jess's hollow feed blinked in Taren's pocket, her voice a whisper. Don't screw this up, flyboy. The chamber hummed, light weaving around them. Taren tripped on a gravity shift, catching himself with a laugh. Okay, that's on me. Let's not tell the galaxy. Mirena's laugh escaped, bright and unguarded, echoing through the spire. For a moment, the curse, the alliance, the doubts, they all faded. There was just Taren, grinning like he'd conquered a star, and Mirena, wondering if she'd misjudged him. They stepped to the altar, hands brushing as they lifted the neural weave. A pulse of warmth linked them, their minds grazing. Hers a tempest of duty and loss, his a whirlwind of defiance and hope. The galaxy watched, screens flickering in bars, temples, and ships. A human and a Sylari, bound not just by politics, but by something neither could name. Guess we're stuck with each other, Taren whispered, his voice half joke, half promise. Survive this, human, and we'll see, Mirena replied, her ears glowing a soft, undeniable purple. The ether's song glided through the void, a sleek Sylari cruiser with walls that shimmered like liquid starlight and corridors that hummed with a faint, melodic pulse. Its heart was Lyra, an AI with a penchant for sarcasm and a voice that could make even a supernova sound snarky. For Taren Calder, Earth pilot and newlywed to a princess, this was home now, a far cry from the grimy cockpits he'd grown up in. For Mirena Valthes, last of the Sylari royals, it was a gilded cage, every pulse of the ship reminding her of the curse that had stolen her bloodline's future. Yet, in the quiet hum of their shared quarters, something was shifting, something neither had expected. Taren sprawled on a floating couch, fiddling with a hollow projector he'd rigged to play Earth classics. "All right, princess, tonight's my turn to educate you," he announced, his grin pure Tony Stark, half cocky, half irresistible. "We're watching Star Blasters, a masterpiece of human storytelling. Explosions, one-liners, the works." Mirena perched on a chair that molded to her form, her pearlescent skin catching the ship's glow like a prism. Her nebula-like eyes narrowed, ears twitching a faint blue, curiosity tinged with skepticism. "Your masterpiece sounds like noise. Sylari art weaves light into stories. It doesn't explode. Explosions are stories," Taren shot back, tossing a synth popcorn kernel into his mouth. "Big boom, bad guys toast, hero gets the girl. Universal language." She rolled her eyes, but her ears glowed brighter. "Your hero sounds like you. Arrogant and loud." "Arrogant? I'm wounded." He clutched his chest, then leaned closer, voice dropping. "But loud? That's just to drown out how much I'm sweating under all this husband pressure." Her laugh slipped out, soft as wind chimes, and Taren's heart did a flip. Getting her to laugh felt like winning a dogfight against a black hole. The hollow flickered to life, projecting a garish space battle. Mirena tilted her head, ears shifting to green. Confusion. "This ship is alive? A deity?" Taren choked on his popcorn. "What? No, it's just a bucket of bolts with a cool paint job. You thought that was a god. Its crew kneels before it," she said, pointing at a scene where pilots saluted their cruiser. "Like our temple rites. Okay, that's just military nonsense. Humans love shiny things." He laughed, shaking his head. "Man, I've flown crates worse than that and never prayed to him. Though I did curse one out for leaking coolant." Mirena's ears glowed pink. "Amusement, maybe something warmer." "You're absurd, Taren." "Absurd's my brand, princess." He winked, and for a moment, the weight of her crown seemed to lift. Later that week, Mirena invited him to her studio, a chamber where light bent into stories. "If you mock this, I'll lock you in a cargo bay," she warned, her voice sharp but her eyes playful. "No mocking Scout's honor." Taren raised his hands, though his smirk said trouble. "Show me your magic." She extended her hands, and the room erupted in color, blues swirling like oceans, golds blooming like stars. The light danced, telling a Sylari tale of a seed that birthed a galaxy. Taren's jaw dropped. "Holy, you made the room a painting. How do you even do that? Focus. Emotion." Her ears glowed violet, pride, vulnerability. "It's who we are." He stepped closer, mesmerized. "You're a damn artist, Mirena. Makes my explosions look like kid stuff." Her gaze softened, and she touched his arm, guiding his hand to a light strand. "Try it. Think of something true." He closed his eyes, picturing his old ship, the rusty dagger, half broken but loyal. A faint red glow flickered, jagged like a heartbeat. "Huh, guess I missed that junker." Mirena's ears shifted to purple, empathy. "It's not junk if it's home." Their hands lingered, fingers brushing. Her skin was cool, shimmering, and his pulse spiked as he grazed her wrist, feeling the faint pulse of her biocircuits. She shivered, ears glowing a deep indigo, and pulled back, voice unsteady. "You distract me." "Me? I'm just following orders." His grin was pure mischief, but his eyes held hers, warm and searching. "Unless you want me to distract you." Lyra's voice cut in, dripping with glee. "Shall I dim the lights? Or are we keeping this PG?" Mirena glared at the ceiling. "Lyra, silence." Touchy, Touchy, Lyra purred but went quiet. That night, Taren couldn't sleep. He'd always been a fly-by-the-seat of his pants guy. Dogfights, bar bets, close calls. But being Mirena's husband? That was a mission he hadn't trained for. He pictured her in the studio, light bending to her will, and wondered if a guy like him could ever match that. "I'm just a pilot," he muttered, staring at the starry ceiling. "What the hell am I doing here?" Across the ship, Mirena sat by a viewport, the nebula outside swirling like her thoughts. The curse haunted her. 3 generations barren, temples filled with prayers unanswered. She'd buried hope long ago, choosing duty over dreams. But Taren's laugh, his reckless warmth, stirred something dangerous. Where she let herself feel. Where she failed again. Her ears dimmed, gray with doubt, but his voice echoed, "Absurd's my brand." And somehow, that made her smile. The next day, Jess's hollow call crackled through. "T, you still alive?" Her neon-streaked hair bounced as she grinned. "Heard you're trying to charm a princess. How's that crash landing?" "More like a controlled descent," Taren quipped, leaning back. "She's tough, but I'm tougher." Jessa snorted. "You're delusional. She's a goddess, and you... Don't blow it, flyboy." "Thanks for the pep talk," he said, but her words gnawed at him. Was he enough for Mirena? Meanwhile, Lyra cornered Mirena in the command deck. "You're glowing more than usual, princess. Is it the nebula or our resident human disaster?" Mirena's ears flashed red. "Lyra, I will reprogram you." "Threats don't change facts," Lyra teased. "He's getting to you. Also, I found data fragments, something about Caliph, old Sylari exiles. They messed with your bloodline, way back. Want me to dig?" Mirena froze, ears dimming. "Caliph? That's myth." "Myth with data trails," Lyra said. "Give me time." Mirena nodded, unease pooling in her chest. Caliph, if real, meant her curse wasn't fate. It was sabotage. One evening, they stood by the viewport, the nebula a kaleidoscope of fire and frost. Taren pointed at a pulsing star. "That one's out of story, but it's a pirate hideout." Mirena's ears glowed green. "Or a cradle for new worlds." Their shoulders brushed, and Taren's hand grazed her wrist again, lingering. Her breath caught, ears shifting to indigo, and she didn't pull away. "You're impossible," she whispered, voice trembling. "Impossible's my middle name," he said softly, his thumb tracing her skin. The nebula seemed to pulse with them, a silent promise. Lyra's voice broke the spell. "Okay, lovebirds, I'm not playing mood music." Taren laughed, but Mirena's eyes held his, a question unspoken. Later, alone, she touched her wrist, still warm from his touch, and wondered if hope was worth the risk. That night, they found themselves alone in their quarters, the nebula's glow spilling through the viewport like molten dreams. Taren stepped closer, his usual swagger softened. "Mirena, I don't know what I'm doing half the time. But with you, I want to figure it out." Her ears glowed purple, raw and open. "I'm afraid, Taren. Afraid to want this." He took her hand, steady as a pilot's grip. "Then we'll be afraid together. I'm not going anywhere." She searched his eyes, earnest, unguarded, and felt the curse's weight falter. She pulled him close, their lips meeting in a kiss that burned like a star igniting. The room faded, the nebula outside swirling faster, its colors weaving around them like silk. A distant hum rose, the stars themselves singing, their notes entwining with the rhythm of their breaths. Light pulsed, wrapping them in a cocoon of fire and shadow, as if the universe held its breath. When the glow softened, only warmth remained, a quiet spark like a new world born in silence. The ether song drifted through a sea of stars, its shimmering hull a lone beacon in the cosmic dark. Inside, the air buzzed with a new kind of energy, not the ship's biocircuits, but something softer, warmer, born in the quiet moments between Taren Calder and Mirena Valthes. Their connection had ignited something neither could name, a spark that defied curses and galaxies alike. But the universe, as Taren often quipped, loved throwing curveballs. Mirena stood in their quarters, her pearlescent skin catching the nebula's glow through the viewport. Her hand rested on her abdomen, a faint warmth stirring beneath her touch. Her ears, delicate and arched like crescent blades, twitched with a strange rhythm, faster, almost urgent. She frowned, dismissing it as stress. The curse had haunted her bloodline for generations. Hope was a luxury she'd buried long ago. Yet Taren's reckless optimism clung to her like stardust, and she caught herself wondering, what if? Across the ship, Taren tinkered in the medbay, trying to coax a Sylari scanner into making coffee. "Come on, you fancy glow stick, give me a latte," he muttered, his Tony Stark grin flickering despite the machine's refusal to comply. He'd always been a fix-it guy. Ships, fights, bad bets. But fixing a marriage to a princess? That was uncharted space. Lyra, the ship's AI, chimed in with her usual sass. "Taren, you're 0 for 3 on that scanner. Want me to order decaf instead?" "Decaf's a war crime, Lyra," he shot back, wiping his hands. "Besides, I'm saving my genius for bigger things. Like not screwing up this whole husband gig." "Bold strategy," Lyra said. "Heads up, Mirena's scheduled for a routine scan. Don't break anything before then." Taren smirked, but a knot tightened in his chest. Mirena was a galaxy out of his league, literally, and every day he wondered if he was enough. He pushed the thought aside, cracking his knuckles. "Time to shine, Calder." In the med bay, Mirena lay on a bio bed, its surface rippling like water. The scanner hummed, casting a soft glow over her. Taren lounged nearby, tossing a hollow cube like a kid with a fidget toy. "So, princess, what's the verdict? Am I feeding you too many Earth snacks?" Her ears glowed blue. Amusement. "Your snacks are barely food." "I'm fine, Taren." The scanner chirped, then screeched, a high, alien wail. Lyra's voice cut through, sharp with disbelief. "Anomaly detected. Biological structure, new. Error margin, 0.03%. Taren dropped the cube. "New? Like what, a tumor? A parasite?" Mirena sat up, ears dimming to gray. "Lyra, clarify." The AI projected a hollow image, a tiny pulse flickering like a newborn star. "It's a fetus," Lyra said, almost hesitant. "You're pregnant, Mirena." Silence crashed over the room. Mirena's eyes widened, nebulas frozen in shock. "That's impossible," she whispered, voice cracking. "The curse, 3 generations, no heirs." Taren's jaw hung open, then snapped shut with a grin. "Impossible? Princess, I've flown through plasma storms with half a NAV system. Impossible's my warm-up." Her ears flared red. Anger, fear, hope. "This isn't a joke, Taren. My bloodline is barren." He stepped closer, voice softening. "Hey, I'm not joking. Whatever this is, we'll figure it out. Together." The hollow pulsed brighter, and Mirena's hand trembled over her abdomen. A tear slipped down her cheek, catching the light like a diamond. Taren took her hand, steady as a pilot's grip, and for the first time, she didn't pull away. News of the pregnancy spread like a supernova. On Zyra Prime, scientists bickered in crystal halls, some calling it a miracle, others a genetic fluke. "The entropy is unbreakable," one insisted, while another muttered about human variables. Across Earth's colonies, tabloids dubbed Taren the hero of love, splashing his grinning face on feeds with headlines like "Pilot Conquers Alien Curse." A fringe Sylari cult, the Order of the Starborn, declared the unborn child, named Celes in Mirena's dreams, the child of stars, destined to reforge the cosmos. Taren caught a broadcast and groaned. "Great, now I'm a galactic tabloid star. Jessa's gonna love this." Sure enough, Jessa Kane's hollow call buzzed in. "To you, dog." Her neon green hair bounced as she laughed. "Knocking up a princess? That's a new one, even for you." "Stuff it, Jessa," Taren said, but his grin betrayed him. "It's not like I planned this." "Yeah, sure. Just don't name the kid after your ship." "Rusty Dagger Calder sounds like a bad bar." She winked and signed off, leaving Taren chuckling. But the joy was short-lived. One night, Mirena doubled over in their quarters, a sharp pain lancing through her. Her ears dimmed, nearly black, and sweat beaded on her brow. "Something's wrong," she gasped. Taren caught her, easing her to the couch. "Hang on, princess. Lyra, scan her now. Lyra's voice was tense. Elevated biosignals. The fetus is emitting pulses, disrupting her system. It's not normal, even for Sylari. Not normal. Taren's eyes narrowed. Fix it, Lyra. Or, I'm hot-wiring you myself. Charming, but I'm trying, Lyra snapped. This is beyond my database. I need time. Mirena gripped his hand, her voice strained. Taren, I can't lose her. You won't, he said, fierce. I'm not losing either of you. He dove into the ship's archives, wrestling with Sylari tech, glyphs and biocircuits that made his head spin. This is worse than rewiring a warp drive blind, he muttered, but kept at it, driven by Mirena's shallow breaths. Hours later, he rigged a stabilizer, a clunky device that hummed like a drunk bumblebee. It eased her pain as she managed a weak smile. You're impossible, she whispered. Impossible's my middle name, he replied, brushing a strand of hair from her face. His hand lingered, sliding gently down her back, feeling the curve of her spine through her thin robe. Her breath hitched, ears flickering purple, trust warmth. Better, he asked, voice low. Much, she said, leaning into him, their closeness a quiet anchor amidst the storm. Lyra's voice broke the moment. Incoming anomaly, big one. Brace yourselves. The ship lurched, lights flickering. A hollow screen flared, revealing a structure like a city of shattered light, its edges jagged and pulsing. Caliph, the exiled Sylari, had found them. A voice, cold, layered, like a choir of ghosts, echoed through the ship. The child of stars belongs to us. She is the flame we forged. Taren stood in front of Mirena, fists clenched. Flame, huh? You want her, you'll have to get through me. And I'm a real pain in the ass. Mirena's ears glowed red, defiant. Sealy's is ours, not your tool. The Caliph voice hummed, amused. You cannot hide what rewrites the stars. Lyra piped up, her tone urgent. I cracked their old data. Caliph tampered with your bloodline centuries ago, Mirena. They blocked fertility to stop a disruptor, a child like Sealy's. Taren's involvement broke their lock. Taren blinked. Wait, my involvement? You mean? Don't get cocky, Lyra cut in. But yeah, your human chaos flipped their plan. He grinned, turning to the hollow. Hear that, sparkly creeps? I'm your worst nightmare. A guy with bad timing and great aim. He dove for the console, fingers flying over controls. Lyra, boost the signal. I'm jamming their comms with every Earth prank call I know. The ship pulsed, sending a chaotic burst. Old radio jingles, bar anthems, even a looped happy birthday. The Caliph structure flickered, its hum faltering. They're backing off, Lyra reported. For now, Mirena stared at Taren, ears glowing gold, admiration. You hack them with songs? Never underestimate a human with a playlist, he said, winking. But his hand found hers, squeezing tight, and she leaned into him, their shared defiance stronger than any curse. The pain returned later, softer but persistent. Taren adjusted the stabilizer, his face etched with focus. You're going to be fine, Mirena. Sealy's too. I don't care what Caliph says. She's ours. She touched his cheek, eyes shimmering. You're more than a pilot, Taren. He laughed soft. Took a princess to make me believe it. As the ship steadied, the nebula outside pulsed, as if echoing Sealy's heartbeat. The galaxy buzzed with rumors, cults, and headlines, but in that moment, Taren and Mirena held only each other, ready for whatever came next. The Ether's song slipped into the orbit of Linaris Vale, a planet draped in silver forests and crowned by twin moons that glowed like lanterns. From above, it looked like a dream woven from light and shadow, trees pulsing with bioluminescence, rivers singing soft harmonies, and air thick with the scent of blooming crystal vines. The locals, a gentle offshoot of Sylari called the Luminari, lived in harmony with creatures that flickered like living prisms, communicating through bursts of color. This was a sanctuary, a place to hide from the galaxy's clamor, and for Taren Calder and Mirena Valthes, it was a chance to breathe, to cradle their miracle, Sealy's, and build something new. Taren stood on the ship's ramp, squinting at the forest. Okay, this place is straight out of fairy tale. Where's the catch? Dragons? Evil wizards? Mirena stepped beside him, her pearlescent skin shimmering under the moon's glow. Her nebula-like eyes sparkled, and her ears, delicate and arched, glowed a soft gold, contentment, a rare sight. She cradled Celes, a tiny bundle whose tiny ears twitched with faint pulses of light. No dragons, Taren. Just peace. For now. For now. He arched a brow, Tony Stark grin flashing. Princess, you're killing my vibe. I was planning to kick back, maybe teach Celes how to hotwire a hover bike. Mirena's laugh was bright, like starlight breaking through clouds. You're incorrigible. And you love it, he shot back, winking. Her ears flickered purple, affection, and he felt a warmth that no cockpit adrenaline could match. The Luminari greeted them in a clearing, their skin glowing in patterns of blue and amber. Prism beasts danced around them, flashing colors like a silent symphony. Welcome, curiosity, joy. A Luminari elder, Sylari, her ears adorned with crystal threads, bowed low. Child of stars, you honor us, she said, voice resonating like a plucked string. Celes is a bridge, born of two worlds. Taren scratched his neck. Bridge, huh? Hope she's sturdier than the last bridge I flew under. Blew out my thrusters. Sylvara's ears glowed green, amusement. Your spirit is unique, human. That's one way to put it, Mirena murmured, but her smile betrayed her. The Luminari hosted a ceremony to bless Celes, a ritual of light and song in a grove where trees wove their branches into a cathedral of silver. Taren, roped into participating, was handed a staff that pulsed with bioenergy. Just wave it in rhythm, Mirena whispered, her eyes dancing. Don't break anything. Me? Break stuff? I'm insulted, Taren said, gripping the staff like a baseball bat. He tried to follow the Luminari's graceful arcs, but the staff flared erratically, shooting sparks that made the prism beast scatter. A child giggled, and Sylvara's ears glowed pink. Was that supposed to happen? Taren asked, freezing mid-swing. Mirena covered her mouth, laughter spilling out. You're a galactic hazard. Hey, hazard to my specialty. He grinned, tossing the staff to a Luminari, who caught it with a bemused blink. The crowd erupted in cheers, not for his skill, but for his sheer audacity. A human stumbling through their sacred dance and owning it. Taren bowed dramatically, whispering to Mirena, told you I'd make it fun. Her ears glowed purple again, and she leaned closer, voice soft. You always do. That night, they settled in a Luminari dwelling, a dome of woven vines that pulsed with gentle light. Celes slept in a cradle of crystal moss, her tiny breaths syncing with the forest hum. Taren sat beside her, spinning a hollow cube that projected Earth tales, pirates, cowboys, spaceships. Okay, kiddo, he said, voice low, this one's about a guy who stole a ship to save his crew. Total badass, like your dad. Mirena watched from the doorway, her heart tightening. She'd grown up with Sylari lullabies, songs of stars and seas, but Taren's stories were raw, chaotic, human, full of defiance and hope. She stepped inside, sitting beside him. She's too young for your heroics, she teased, but her ears glowed gold. Never too young to learn, he replied, eyes twinkling. Right, Celes? You're going to be trouble, just like me. Mirena shook her head, then began to sing, a Sylari melody, soft and flowing, like water over starlit stones. The vines pulsed in rhythm, and Celes's ears flickered, glowing faintly. Taren fell silent, mesmerized. Damn, princess, he whispered when she finished. That's magic. It's home, she said simply, her hand finding his. Their fingers laced, and the dome seemed to hold its breath, wrapping them in quiet wonder. Lyra, ever the intruder, piped up from a nearby panel. Am I interrupting a moment? Or is this just your face's default setting now? Taren groaned. Lyra, I swear, I'm programming you to only play elevator music. Try it, and I'll loop polka, Lyra retorted. Also, incoming message. encrypted from our sparkly friends. Mirena's ears dimmed to gray. Caliph. Lyra projected a fractured lattice of light that hummed with the same ghostly choir they'd heard before. The Caliph's voice echoed, calm but heavy. Child of stars, you are the flame we sought to extinguish, yet you burn. We yield for now, but know this, her light will draw shadows. Guard her well. The hollow faded, leaving silence. Taren's jaw tightened. Shadows? Cute. They try anything. I'll jam their whole city with my bar karaoke playlist. Mirena's ears flickered red. Resolve. Celes is ours. They'll never touch her. Damn right, Taren said, squeezing her hand. We're tougher than their whole light show. Lyra hummed. Poetic, Taren. I clap, but no hands. The message lingered like a half-heard whisper, a prophecy that promised trouble, but not today. Taren and Mirena chose to ignore it, at least for now. The galaxy still buzzed. Scientists on Zyra Prime ran endless tests. Earth feeds crowned Taren king of miracles, and the Order of the Starborn built shrines to Celes' name. But in Linares Vale, life was simpler, sweeter. One evening, under the twin moons, they sat on a ridge overlooking the glowing forest. Celes slept in a sling against Mirena's chest, her tiny ears pulsing softly. Taren fiddled with a hollow cube, projecting a wonky star map. So, Princess, where to next? Got a whole universe to show this kid. Mirena's eyes traced the moons, her voice soft. Here, for now. She deserves peace before whatever comes. He nodded, setting the cube aside. Fair enough. But I'm calling dibs on our first flight lesson. Gotta beat Jessa to it. Mirena laughed, leaning into him. You're impossible. Impossible's my middle name, he said, his arms slipping around her. Her ears glowed purple, love, unguarded, and she rested her head on his shoulder, the moons painting them in silver. Back on Zyra, I thought I'd carry the throne alone, she murmured. Now, I have a universe in my arms. Taren's grin softened, raw and real. Funny thing, I never planned on this either. But you and Celes? You're my best crash landing yet. The forest sang below, prism beasts flashing colors that wove a silent lullaby. The galaxy spun on, full of shadows and wonders. But for Taren, Mirena, and Celes, this moment was enough. A spark of light that no curse could dim.